So now I'm going to tell you a story about how I got my full front and side splits. Both front splits and side splits. I was 15 years old. It was the summer of 2000, and I had been doing Taekwondo for about a year. My favorite thing in Taekwondo was freeform. You basically make your own routine up to music. And I really liked the competitions. And so my next competition was in fall, about 3.5 months away at that point, and I want to get a first place trophy. And so I had the bright idea in my head. If I do the side splits in my routine, I'll get a first place trophy. Because no one else is doing that, and everyone recognizes that it's hard to do. So, to me, side split equaled first place trophy. Side split equals first place trophy. I was driven to get them because I wanted to win. So this is what I did. I saw from the outset, I had like 3.5 months to work on them. I was about 1.5 feet off in all my splits. The side splits were probably even worse because they're harder. I had that time. I could do it. I made a commitment to get the splits so that I could put them in my form in that competition and win. So what I did is every night around 8 o'clock, I would shut the door to my bedroom. I would start watching anime movies on VHS tapes, and for about 2 hours, 2.5 hours, long time, I would work on my splits. So my routine was not cutting edge. For the first half hour, I worked on stretch kicks, front lifts and back lifts, just 2 of them, just for the first half hour. And then I just started working on the splits. I didn't have any other extra stretches I did. I just went as far as I could, got in position, went as far as I could down, and held it for as long as I could, and then tried to go a little bit further, and then I would get up, I would try the other side, I would try the side splits. For hours, I would just try to go further and deeper in the splits, just try them. And so I did that for 2 months, every night. I was a maniac about it. And then I took 10 days off. Now, I didn't do it intentionally. It wasn't like I had planned to do this. So I don't remember what it was. It might have been like a family vacation or something kind of happened during that summer where I didn't train for 10 days. It was just interrupted. And then I got back and I'm like, okay, time to get the splits. I got about a month left for my competition. I got to start working on these things again. All right, I'm ready to go. So I remember that night. That night was amazing because I started working on the splits the same way I've been working on them. And then all of a sudden, I was like, I'm in the full splits. I mean, I was all the way down. I remember sitting in the side splits for the first time. I was like, holy shit, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I was like, oh my God, I'm in full splits, you know? Oh my God. I was like, I did it. It worked. It did work. See, I accidentally did something right. Every smart athlete is going to deload or rest and recuperate before their competition because they need to give their body time to supercompensate and realize their training gains so that they can actualize them in a performance setting. Now, that wasn't right before competition. That was just, something happened and I got back into it and boom, my body had realized the fruits of my labor, so to speak, had spelled themselves out, and I achieved the full splits that way, and I've been able to do them ever since. Now, I'm not sharing this story just for fun. There's 2 very important takeaway points from my story. Okay, so the first one is this. See, I was able to very, 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 very distinctly visualize exactly the reason I wanted the splits. Wanting them is not enough. See, I could see in my head the puzzle mats that I would be competing on in these competitions where I would be doing the side splits. I could visualize the 3 judges in front of me. I could visualize the peers behind me, and I knew some of them. I knew where the competition was taking place. I had been in that tournament hall before. I could hear the music in my head I was going to be performing to. It was very, very, I could visualize it very, very detailed, exactly where, what it would be like to do them, and the goal, first place trophy, big, cheap, plastic, ugly trophy. I knew exactly why I wanted to get the splits, and I won. I got first place. In fact, I just kept getting first place after that. I was just I was destroying it for the next few years, just getting first place trophies. My parents' attic were filled with those ugly, stupid, cheap trophies. They're all been thrown away by now. What 30-year-old in their right mind is going to keep all those things around? It's just stupid, but the goal was very important. I knew exactly why I was working on it. If you don't have something in your mind like that, what's the reward? What are you going to do with the splits when you get them? What's the payoff? If you can't figure that out, if you don't have anything like that compelling you to continue practicing them, you will not care enough to continue practicing them. You won't care. You won't work on them because you won't. You have to have a very strong reason why you want them. Okay. The second thing from my story is this. I didn't do any extra stretches. I didn't have any special methods. I wasn't like counting how long I was doing isometric contractions in the splits. I didn't have any cutting edge methods. I just got into the splits and just held them as long as I could and tried to go deeper all the time, every night. I didn't worry about soreness. I did them when I was sore. I didn't worry about, it never crossed my mind that maybe I was doing too much. It never crossed my mind that maybe I was overdoing it. The word over flexibility never popped into my head. You know, these things people worry about, and then they buy a lacrosse ball, and then they get a stick massage, and then they start doing voodoo floss, and they start doing these tactical mobilization exercises from the outset. It's just, do you think any of the martial artists from like 1970s yesteryear cinema, like Bruce Lee, for example, do you think Bruce Lee rolled around on a goddamn lacrosse ball to get his splits? No. He just did the splits. He just got into them. Do you think he ever worried about like over flexibility or getting weak? No. He just got into splits and he practiced them if he wanted to do them, you know? People confuse themselves with all these weird methods when they really just need to be working directly on the splits if they want them. Just go for it. Just work directly on them. And how much? If you can't do them, it's not enough yet. You got to keep doing them. So I know those other things are useful and they have their place, but if you're confused, you're not aggressive. See, I was very aggressive towards achieving this goal when I was a little kid. If you're confused, you can't be aggressive. You have to be aggressive. You have to go directly at it. You have to want it. You have to just work on it directly. And see, one thing about my story, though, that you cannot emulate is this. Even a 15-year-old day in the same socioeconomic state that I was in cannot emulate my story exactly, because I wasn't in a relationship. I only had one friend. I didn't have a job. I was off from school the entire summer for 3.5 months. The entire summer was mine. I didn't have any responsibilities. My parents took care of everything. The internet, there was no social media. There was no Facebook, no YouTube, no Instagram. There's no smartphones. The only thing I used the internet for was to Google flexibility advice, watch tricking videos, and instant message my local friends. I mean, there's not much going on in my life. My universe was very, very, very small. It was so small that the only thing that mattered to me was getting the splits for this competition, getting first place. 15-year-olds today, again, you got the social media distractions. School is harder. There's more pressure. There's more technology master. It's more difficult. But those are viable excuses, but that's what they are. They're excuses. You just have to put in the time, and you have to put in the time directly. Don't get confused. Let me say it. If you want the splits, you have to practice the splits. If you keep practicing the splits every day, they will get better. If you stop improving, you're not doing it enough. Keep working. You will get them. All my friends I know who take this approach have the splits. All my friends who can do the splits did it this way. They didn't worry about all these other weird methods. They just did the splits. So if you want the splits, tomorrow, get up and practice them for a few hours, and then do it the next day, and the next day, and the next day. And when you're sore, keep doing it. You'll get them. This YouTube series I'm working on is, I finally started working on it. It's going to have a lot of good videos coming out. Keep watching and buy my ebook. I poured my heart and soul into it. I promise you, when you read it, you're going to find something in there that's going to be like, holy shit, I never thought about it that way. This is groundbreaking. This is stuff. I'm very, very proud of this book I've created. So please buy it, and please, if you want the splits, just start working on the splits directly. Get into them, hold them, go deeper, and keep trying. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned. There's a lot of cool stuff coming up.